Welcome back to another episode of Unsportsmanlike Conduct. This week, I bring on the former champions of the league. Got Andrew, Cameron, and Mike. How are you guys doing?
Stupendous.
Wonderful.
Thumbs up.
I think Cameron's the only one that used two words. I don't even know if Andrew used a real word.
It's real. Trust me, Mitch.
Okay.
Tell it.
So, how you guys feeling about your team?
Decent. I snuck in. Well, thank you, Mike. I'll kiss you later.
That has to be one of the more unique series of events for you to get in because you're 6-8, right?
Yeah.
So
The least likely way.
The least likely way. Mike
Me
had
scoring 80 points.
Mike had no business winning the way that he did last week, and he did.
And I'll take the $20 as $20.
It was one of those things where like everything went against me to not make it all of a sudden, and then all of a sudden the one thing that I needed to happen did happen to make it. I was just like, wow. Because I thought for sure I didn't make it after that Bengals game, and then I was just kind of just getting ready to chill out for the rest of the night. And then I looked at the scores and I was like, oh damn, Mike. I was like, I know Burrow and Chase had a big night, and I was like, thank you, Mike.
Well,
Thank
the
you.
Cowboys messed up that special teams play to give Cincinnati a chance.
And it was awesome.
Oh, I love Cowboys. But what's crazy, and because I've been playing out scenarios in my mind, because there's a likelihood if I'm winning, I have to play through two of you. I know I have no Andrew. The only way that you and I could play is in the championship.
Yeah.
Part of me wants my rematch. I want it. I want it. I think
I got T. Higgins again too.
Part of me, I find it comical because of what Mike did. He got Andrew into the playoffs. If Andrew and Mike play each other, and then Andrew beats Mike.
Mm-hmm.
That's true.
That is in the realm of possibility.
It's just Mike. I'll just remind you, the year that you won, it all goes back to like Andrew this year. He has no business being in the playoffs yet. Here he is, and if his team gets on a roll, which his team can, Andrew's team quietly got good about 5 weeks ago in the league, and being able to score points. And your team, it's a juggernaut. It could just hit a wall. If Cincinnati is going to get to a point where like, well, we're done. Jamar Chase pulled a hammy. Your team could start spiraling down. So part of me's rooting for that for you. But
my bench, I got bench.
And then we've all learned never to count out Cameron if he's in the mix. Then there's me who gets in the mix, but I never win.
I'll see if I can keep that going.
Shut it. Not happening.
Do it.
Cameron, how are you feeling about your team?
I'm just sad that Ben's not here. I only won championships against
Ben. My team for the last month has been pretty good. I don't think I've been under the 1 teens, so that feels pretty good. A couple things. The first thing being, when I've been successful, I've hit on tight end and quarterback late. And, obviously you score more points if you do that. But the bigger thing for me is that it opens up a couple roster spots because I only have to carry one of each of those positions.
Yep.
So this year I kept Kyler late, and I took Evan Ingram, I don't know, maybe 6th or 7th tight end off the board, somewhere like that. Since they have not been good, it's forced me in long stretches to have 2 or 3 of each of those positions.
Yeah.
And that just makes me, I don't have room for backup running backs, guys to take shots on. So that's frustrating, in and of itself. But the team's coming along. It's okay. It's okay. I wish I had a better quarterback and tight end, like I said. But the other thing I'll say too is when I've been successful, I think I've done a better job in the past of letting guys go sooner. I'll stick to Evan Ingram to start the year. He gets hurt himself. He's out for 4 games. Hold on to him. And then Trevor Lawrence gets hurt. hold on to him. I just keep making excuses. I think in years past, I would have let that go a lot sooner and just cut my losses and said, hey, I messed up. It's not a good pick and move on. So I think those two things have really kind of held me back this year. But I'm in it. I got to somehow win 3 in a row, which I don't think I've done all year. But yeah, it's
a whole new
nice.
season right now, man.
It is.
So I'm like the exact opposite of you when it comes to players. I like to I don't do nearly as many moves as you. I'll invest and I'll sit on them. And sometimes I'm like I'm sitting on him for a few weeks down the road that I think I'm going to need him. A player that I was like, oh, like I should have just did it when it happened. When Johnson went to Baltimore, I was like, it's done. He's not going to do
Yeah.
anything there. And then Acorn, it's like he's not going to do anything there. And then I chose like who knows. I mean, they traded for him for a reason. And then after 3 weeks, it's like no, I can't because I'm sitting with Likely on the bench too, and I'm like, and he's been on my bench all year. I played him 1 week, and went crazy on him at the beginning because I was like, oh wow, maybe this will turn into him or this might be a great keeper. But then
Glad I
Bowers,
lost that one. I'm glad I lost that fab bet.
Yeah.
so I mean it worked out. There's some fab bets you're gonna do a huge move on, and then uh, it is what it is. So I'd say all things considered, if that was my worst fab bid of the year, I made up elsewhere. So, but Mike, how are you feeling about your team?
Oh, it's great.
I
It's so good right now.
think that's the only thing you can say about your
The,
team.
the only thing
Oh, yeah.
the only thing if the what you just said, like the Chase suddenly pulling a hammy, pulling the hammy, that would be a real crusher for the team. But as long as that doesn't happen, it's firing all cylinders.
Dude, you're what I like to say wombo combo so much. That has to be the most ridiculous combination
Shout
of
outs to little
quarterback.
Josh for that trade.
Yeah, come on, Josh. So if those two still play, I think it would be ridiculous for anybody to pick against you if they're going about it being unbiased. Don't get me wrong. If I end up playing you next week, Mike, I am picking me hardcore. You have zero shot. But my
Of course.
unbiased opinion, your team should win all the way. Your team's been basically the best team all year round. Towards the tail end, it is the best team all year round, or all like best now for sure.
Like,
But we've seen
barring
best
any
teams.
energy, yeah.
Yeah.
Barring energy or injury, it's like I think I've dropped some people that I shouldn't have early on. Like I think Cameron, I think you have Chase Brown now, and he's been doing great work for you. I dropped him in like week 3 or 4, something like that.
Yeah, can you imagine Chase Brown on Mike's team?
Just have all the Bengals.
And
But yeah, missed out on that one.
I'm sure Cameron's glad he didn't let me try to talk you out of that one in that trade. I mean, Dowdle's doing a good job now.
That's because he went against the Bengals.
Well, he's been doing fine. Like they said that he is like the back. Like they actually officially handed it to him a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
So all right. Well, power rankings. We were all kind of nodding about Mike's team being the best, so we won't even go about who has the best team. Let's talk about who we think is going to get last place. I'm going to bring this up on at least my screen. I'm not going to share my screen yet, and for you guys being first time on the podcast this year, whenever I share my screen into the software I use, you guys cannot see it. You have to be looking at the lineups yourself. So for those that can get last place, we have Ryan and Mark, AJ and Tommy, Sam, and Ben. Ben has the worst record at 3-11. The other 3 teams are at 5-9. So we'll start with you, Andrew. Who's going to get last?
I'm looking at these teams here currently, and I definitely think it's going to be between Ryan and Mark and Ben. Now, I know I just lost to Ryan and Mark, But looking at their team, they don't really have any real big hitters besides Bijan. And the other guys, I mean, they could all flop any week. I mean, even Kelsey. Kelsey hasn't been doing good. I mean, he's had a few big games. Jamison Williams, that's a hit or miss.
Mm-hmm.
Thomas, hit or miss. Drake London, hit or miss. He's got McCormick in there right now from Vegas because he's got ETN.
Mm-hmm.
Ben, the only reason I give Ben a chance is because he does have Pacheco, Kamara, and Derrick Henry. I mean, 3 big name running backs. Of course, Henry's always going to put up numbers. Kamara always puts up numbers because of his receiving. Honestly, I say Ryan and Mark are going to get last. I think Ben is going to pull a win out and not get last.
Mike?
Well, I'm the same about Ryan and Mark and Ben. Definitely fighting for last place, but I'm going to go the other way. Just Ben's team has not been performing ever since the week I beat him.
I think if there's any
Yeah.
team that
Caused
just
the
turned
downfall.
into a big surprise, because at the beginning of the year I loved Ben's team, and then
Oh
even
yeah, the
as
beginning
he
of the year
was
is great.
losing, I was like, your team's it's scoring big, it's just losing. You got bad luck. Now it's just not performing well. So I think Andrew kind of had it on the dot. I'm going to pick Ryan and Mark. I think Ben's going to get a win. So Cameron, who do you think is going to get last?
Yeah, I won't stick on it too long. I'm down to those two as well, and I think the only reason I'll say Ben gets a win, which is all you need, is Derrick Henry, and probably this week. I don't love that Ben starts. I haven't looked at Ben's team today, but we played last week. He had 2 New Orleans players and 2 San Francisco players
Mm-hmm.
on the same team, and that it's just only one of them can score a touchdown at once. So
Yeah.
It, but Derrick Henry this week especially should score 1 billion points, and even if he doesn't win this week, I think he's got a chance with Henry the week after. So I'd probably say Ryan and Mark. Yeah.
I was so
His
hoping that.
lineup is different this week. He does only have Jennings in his lineup for San Fran.
Okay.
And just Kamara.
Gotcha.
So.
Gotcha.
I was so hoping Little Josh was going to get in the bottom 4 to see those two play, Ben and Little Josh.
Well, that play, Mike, that last play that Mike kept Little Josh from getting last
it
place.
saved him. Josh, thank me for that.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Well,
that's right. You saved him too.
I texted him and told him he needs to send Andrew and Little Josh need to send Mike a Christmas present this year.
Jeez.
No, Little Josh already thanked me.
Yeah.
He said our trade came full. He said our trade came full circle and saved him at the end.
Oh, he'll get his Christmas package if you know what I mean.
Well, I know I mentioned this last week, but in the event that Sam gets last place, he won't be responsible for doing a last place presentation, but I will have something in its place. And I already got a couple good ideas. Some will involve other people if they so choose to participate. And it'll be something fun, and we'll record it and whatnot. So it won't really be a last place presentation, but it will be a joint effort for entertainment and fun. So, and we might do it anyways, even if Sam doesn't get last. Who knows? Okay, I think we're gonna jump right into matchups, and we'll go to the bottom, the consolation bracket first. As I'm doing this, let me change my scene here for those watching from your YouTubes. I gotta adjust something on my end.
The YouTubes.
The YouTubes, so that way everybody can see us correctly. Okay, we're good. All right. Like I said, consolation bracket. We will start with Ben and Sam. We don't have to go too crazy in detail. There's 4 of us. I know looking at this, Sam is currently projected to beat Ben Ben has 2 players playing right now, so we're recording this during the Rams and 49ers game. Jennings is not off to a great start. He's not playing Debo.
Mm.
Uh,
I
I
wouldn't
mean,
play Debo either.
I
Yeah,
think
I get that for sure.
I think looking at this, I mean, Sam's team. Honestly, I'm going to pick Sam to win this week. I think Sam will win. I think Ben will win when it matters most next week. Josh Allen, that game. I think Buffalo and Detroit. I think that's going to be a crazy game.
It's gonna be through the roof.
Um, I think with, I don't know. Looking at Sam's team, I like it. I like it a lot more than Ben's team. Ben could have big home run hitters, but there's some big question marks on his team too. I'm not a big fan of Wilson. I get playing Wilson. Philly has a really good secondary. So, I mean, I don't think Wilson's going to get 20 points. He'll probably get more than 14. But I think he's banking on a big game from that. Uh, yeah, I'm just going to keep it simple. I think Sam will win, not by much. Ben, you'll get your win next week. Whoever wants to go next.
Uh, I'll give it to Sam as well. He's got some great matchups this week. Allen, like I said, Allen's gonna go off. I might Brees Hall might come back and go off on this game against Jacksonville. Uh, and of course, he's got Justin Jefferson Monday. Who knows what that'll have? Who knows what'll go off on that one against Chicago? Ben really needs Jennings to do well tonight to make up for that, and of course Henry to go off Sunday to have a chance.
I think he'll definitely get his points with Henry against the Giants, but that's the only one I'd say I'm confident in getting their projection. I think Pacheco is over projected what he's going to get against Cleveland. Cameron, what do you think?
Yeah.
Or Andrew, I don't care who goes.
I'll go. I've been staring at it the whole time y'all were talking, trying to. I really want to make a case for Ben. I really do. But it's hard, you know. They're both playing a Denver wide receiver, and you would rather have Sutton over Vele. So, and Josh Allen is awesome, and Justin Jefferson is awesome. I don't think Brees Hall plays. He probably doesn't play, I guess. So that does help Ben. And if Henry scores 40, which he could, but I agree. It's the Isaiah Pacheco. Kamara's kind of banged up, and I don't like Russell Wilson against Philly. So, yep, I'm gonna stick with Sam, but I want to pick you, Ben, but I can't.
Yeah, easy pick. It's Sam. I think Sam's gonna do really good this week. Honestly, I wouldn't want to play Sam at all this week.
Dude, that would have been so crazy if Sam found a way to navigate into the playoffs.
I know it's crazy how he once Josh Allen just kept putting up points, and I was just like, oh no, this is bad. This is bad. Scored 51. I was like, what in the world? And then T. Higgins gets me 2 catches somehow. It was anyway. Thank you, Mike. Again. But yeah, no, Ben doesn't have a chance. As you guys say on the podcast a lot, he ain't gonna break 100. And I think Sam easily gets over 100. Sam wins, I think, by a mile. Honestly.
So, Ben, I know you haven't been on for a few weeks, but I know you're paying attention to these things. It's painful picking against you because we know what your team should have been at the beginning of the year, but that's just how it plays out sometimes.
Yeah, I mean,
Sometimes
Ben's
it's
only
way
chance
better
is
on
if
paper.
somehow he has to get lucky with Kamara and Henry, like really lucky. Otherwise, I don't think there's any way.
I mean, I think if those guys show up, handle business, and Russell Wilson has a big game, he can win this week because there are some question marks on Sam's team because Sam's team is not always consistent, but when they hit, they hit. It's not like
Yeah.
Mike's team where they're either consistent or they hit big. So, all right, Let's move on to the next game in the consolation bracket. We got Ryan and Mark versus AJ and Tommy. So
Got some questionables.
I'll go ahead and start. I know there's questionables. I mean AJ and Tommy. I think we'll win this game. They should win this game. I think their team is better. I've been criticizing Ryan and Mark's team all year about having a wide receiver and running back from the same team. That's not all that great. And then wasn't there another team he has two of the same players too? No, but looking at this,
He had
most of these
ETN and Thomas, but
oh, ETN's not playing
He's
right
got
now.
Golf and Williams in his flex right now.
That one, so I don't mind that too much with a quarterback and wide receiver, and I could see
Yeah, it's
Williams having a
the
big game
wombo
against
combo.
Buffalo. He's usually good for a couple big plays. You just hope that it's a bomb with a touchdown. I'm gonna pick AJ and Tommy. Keep it simple.
agreed. I think AJ and Tommy win as well. I know CD Lamb has been all over the place, but just like last week when he played the Bengals, played a bad defense, did good. They got Carolina. Carolina's defense is not very good. I mean, the Eagles made them look kind of good last week, but I think CD Lamb has a good game. Brown against Buffalo. Daniels, I think AJ and Tommy win easily. Honestly, that's it. That's all I got.
Does Ryan and Mark break 90?
Ooh,
I think so.
90.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah,
Both teams
97.8.
can get 100, but I kind of agree that AJ should win.
I don't know. I'm hoping for some drama Monday night. You know, they got 1, 2, 3 players playing Monday night. Ryan and Mark do. So I don't know. I mean, Las Vegas defense doesn't scare me. Maybe Atlanta really tries to make a push to win that division. I don't know. They might try.
To see that classic primetime Cousins.
They're not giving up on Cousins yet.
See, that's the thing.
Oh yeah. Well, Cousins can throw interceptions and they can still do good, you know. And then I mean, Goff could hit Williams for 3 receptions, but he could have 120 yards and 2 touchdowns on 3 receptions. So I don't know. I pick AJ.
Exactly. You can make a case for anybody to win.
Yeah, I'm trying.
All right. We're going to go ahead and move on to the next one here. So
we don't even need Mike's opinion.
Oh, Mike said AJ and Tommy.
Oh, he did? Okay.
Yeah. It was quick. It was brief and to the point. So, all right. We are going to go to Andrew and Drew's matchup here next.
Oh, boy.
We're going to save the drama of me and Cameron for last. Oh, so this matchup, man, this is one of those things. I feel for Drew. He good record. He did the best he could with the significant injuries he had, and then I think losing both CMC and Mason in the same week, and then Mike throwing down a $61 bid to get the next player. It's
Drew, I wouldn't have had to worry about Mike winning last week if he wouldn't have beat me by that $1, because I would have had him in my flex and I would have scored enough points to beat Mark and Ryan.
Mike did exactly what he needed to beat you.
Yep, he did.
Because I knew you were the only competition, and then Sam was the only one with more fab than me. If Sam wanted him, he was going to take him no matter what I bid.
Right.
I just had to beat you.
Yep, it was smart.
So, but man, it's looking at this. I mean, right now, like I said, Andrew, your team, it's quietly got good a few weeks ago. Getting Collins back, that helps. I know Houston, they feel like a shell of themselves compared to last year. but I think Nico's a big thing.
He's kind of been the consistent part of the passing offense. Really, he's the only one.
Jacobs has really been balling for you recently too. He's been consistent all year, but he's been really playing. Um, the big question marks on your team, if there is any. I know you're playing the Jets defense against Jacksonville. I get the play. I don't know if I like the play, but I definitely understand playing it.
Mm-hmm.
T. Higgins, that is like he feels so inconsistent to me. Like he should be better than what he's been performing.
Well, I mean, until this week, he's had a touchdown 3 weeks in a row until this last week. So I mean, I think he's scored double digits every game that he's played in, besides 2, I think, something like that. So last week I think it was just a fluke. I think it was just one of those random outliers.
I think if I'm looking at your team, if there's anything that I would say to do different, I think you got to play downs. I like downs, but you're gonna do what you're gonna do. I'm gonna pick you to win, and Drew,
Okay.
it's not really any kind of hit against your team. You've done the best that you can. I think you got to hope that what's his face from the Jets doesn't play. I can't. Yeah, I couldn't think of his name. And then Allen gets to start. So I think if you get that, you got a chance. And man, hopefully Smith shows up big for you. We want you to win. Well, at least I want you to win. I can't speak for Cameron or Mike. I think they would prefer that you won over Andrew because they probably don't want Andrew to league reset the thing either.
That makes sense.
But Drew, I'm rooting for you. Don't think it's gonna happen though. So I'm gonna pick Andrew. God, I feel gross.
Hope you haven't taken that shower yet.
I haven't. I'm saving it. It'll be a long shower tonight too.
Yep. Maybe even a bath.
It was worse than a post-shower poop.
All right.
Tell you what, Andrew, you go ahead and go. You go ahead.
You want me to? Oh.
Yep, I want you to go.
All right. I'm gonna pick me. Honestly, if I was playing against Mike, I would pick Mike. Though I'm not just picking me because it's me. I like my team more than Drew's. Not saying that it's gonna give me a win or not, but last week was a rough one. I still scored 110 last week, and I had Taylor and Nico on a bye. Crappy week to have them on a bye. A week I had to win. And I think Higgins, like I said, that game, I think is just an outlier. I think he's going to do good this week again. And then the only one I'm really scared of on Drew's team is I'm scared of that Lamar Jackson, Zay Flowers. It's the Giants. I think Jackson's going to score a lot of points anyway this game. That's the one I'm really scared of. Hubbard Hubbard's been balling this year, which is a big surprise.
Against a terrible Dallas.
I knew he'd be decent, but Hubbard's been doing really good. And we saw what Chase did against Dallas just this last week. So I think I'm a little worried about Hubbard. Hubbard and Jackson are the two that I'm really scared about possibly giving him the edge over me. So quarterback-wise, I like Jackson more than Love. Green Bay has actually been about running the ball in the red zone recently, which is fine, but it kind of, my bar for Love has kind of been lowered recently. I feel like because Jacobs has been doing so good.
Well, they're using what's working well for them.
Yeah, which is fine. I mean, if I get 3 touchdowns with Jacobs and 1 with Love, whatever, it's okay. I mean, it kind of balances out, honestly. But that's why I like Jackson more. Nico, I think, even though Miami statistically has the best pass defense in the league, I still think Nico's going to have a big day against Miami. I mean, Stroud's still going to have to throw the ball, and Nico's the guy. Mm-hmm. So Taylor against Denver, I think Denver's kind of okay at stopping the run. I don't think they're great. I don't think they're terrible.
Denver has a quietly good defense. It's just if you start pulling away, that's when it becomes a problem. But I could see that being a low-scoring game.
Yeah. I know Taylor's still going to get, a ton of touches. Yep. I mean, because I know Denver's obviously not going to pull away from Indy So
No,
Taylor's
I
always
can't
going to be in the
imagine that.
mix.
Yeah.
So I am a little upset. It looks like Njoku's going to be out this week. I mean, I have Hawkinson, which is good too. I mean, he can do good as well. But Njoku's been getting a ton of targets from Jameis. I mean, Jameis is just throw the ball, throw the ball, throw the ball. So I loved having Njoku in there.
Yeah, he was the reason I got so far last year.
Yeah. So it looks like he may be out this week because of a hammy. But I mean, Jonnu Smith, who knows? He didn't do anything last week, and then in overtime he got 3 catches for a touchdown. Mitch, you were there. You saw that. That was crazy.
Yes.
He had 0 catches until overtime, and then got 40-some yards and a touchdown.
Yep.
Pollard is, I think, something with an ankle. I think he'll play. I'm glad I made that trade with Clark for that one. Thank you, Clark. Clark's going to have a good keeper as long as the league doesn't get reset, though. So, yeah, I like matchups. I think we should be good. Like I said, Drew, I'm scared of the Allen and Hubbard, honestly. So I think both of us honestly score a decent amount of points this week, though. I think it'll be close.
I think you'll both break 100. It's just
Yeah.
how far above 100 are you guys going to do it? Go, Drew. Cameron, what you think?
I'll be the dissenting voice, I think. I think I'm gonna pick Drew. Which one? Who knows?
Safe
But
pick.
Drew or Andy? So I'm gonna pick Drew. Andy, you got a really good team. I do like your team a lot. I will say, Green Bay going into Seattle, it's a hard place to play. Green Bay has been up and down a lot this year. And I could see Jordan Love and potentially Josh Jacobs struggling in that game, even though the matchup on paper is, kind of middle of the pack or better than middle. I disagree with Mitch. I think you should start Pollard in your flex. But I think this is going to come down to what Baltimore does to the Giants.
I agree.
Is it Derrick Henry or is it Lamar
That is
Jackson?
100%.
To be
the
clear,
deciding
it
factor.
was really more played downs over Higgins, not Pollard.
Over Higgins? Oh, I'd start Higgins. Nah, I'd start Higgins. But I just when you have a very evenly matched teams. I do think that Brees Hall does not play, so I think Braylon Allen against Jacksonville, I would be scared of that too.
Yeah, true, I guess. Yeah, if Hall doesn't play.
Jerry Judy's been awesome. I don't know. It's close. I just worry about that Green Bay matchup. So I'm going to say it comes down to that, and Drew wins because of Lamar throwing 2 touchdowns to Zay Flowers.
Oh, boy. Heard it here.
Heard it here first.
Mitch, if I played downs, wouldn't I be breaking one of your cardinal sins?
You already are. You already
wide
are.
receiver and okay.
You're playing a quarterback and a running back. You already are, and I still picked you.
So I should play downs and
That's why
the
I
running
hated your
back and
team
wide
so
receiver.
much. Yep.
This matchup is definitely going to be the closest one, I think, this week. But I do have to give it to Andrew. He's getting Collins and Taylor back. That's going to incredibly help a lot. If like Cameron said, if the Baltimore game gets out of hand, that's Drew's best hope of winning this week. But I think Andrew's team is going to be considerably better than last week.
Baltimore coming off a bye, then before that they lost. So they're going to come back to win against a terrible team.
Against the Giants.
All right.
The tanking hard Giants.
And it's in MetLife. So the Giants haven't won a game in MetLife since like 1930. So
Something like that.
I feel like that's accurate.
So, all right. Mike, we're going to stick with you. We're going to switch over to Cameron and I's matchup.
Let me pull that one up. Well, on paper, it looks pretty good for you, Mitch, right now. But let's take a deeper look. Yeah. Yeah, I still like Cameron's team though. I think the matchup right now for Kyler Murray is going to be great for you. Chase Brown is going to be great for Cameron. Um, yeah, it's going to come down to if Kyle Murray picks it up here compared to the last couple weeks. Hurts in Pittsburgh is going to be really tough. I don't know if Hurts will
They're in
be
Philly.
able to do his
They're in Philly.
against Pittsburgh. I mean,
Okay.
but Pittsburgh's been playing pretty well, I think. Yeah, it's going to come down to the quarterback matchup, I think. But I'm going to give it to Cameron.
Oh, okay.
Whoa.
One for Cameron. Okay. Andrew.
Oh boy, this is a tough one. I think this one's going to be close, honestly. Right now, I think this LA game was kind of a big one for me deciding on this. Right now, Puka and Cup aren't doing anything, so because I was kind of like, it kind of depends who's going to be the one to get the huge game, Puka or Cup. Well, I mean, they're both can do decent amount, but
They just got the
I
ball
just
back.
figured this is going to be one of those games where one of them was going to bust out and the other one was going to be a dud. And right now they're both kind of dudding it. So, and I think your guys' game is going to be incredibly close. Cameron, I love what you did with your trades this year. You turned your team around so much with your trades. Like when you got Hill and Cup, I was like,
Well, he drafted.
holy
Cup.
crap. If he can win a few games and those guys come in his lineup, your team was going to be dangerous when I saw that. And once Tua was cleared to come back, I was like, uh-oh. So that was really good, and it turned your team around a lot. And Gibbs has been very consistent, and so has Brown. Running back wise, Mixon against Miami is pretty good. Montgomery's been consistent though too, which is so crazy for that Detroit team how you can play two running backs and they both get double digits every week.
Sonic and Knuckles, man.
It's crazy.
Sonic and Knuckles.
It's wild. So I think Montgomery and Gibbs, honestly, they're pretty even. I like Hill and Adams. Adams has a good matchup. I think Adams has been doing much better, hasn't he, Mitch?
Mm-hmm.
Recently, I know he gets a lot of targets.
He gets plenty of targets. He's been getting over 10 points every week for the past 3 or 4 weeks. He's been consistent.
Yeah, I know Tyreek's going to get his. Hurts and Kyler. Man, Kyler, he is peaks and valleys, man.
That's the X factor for Cameron. What's going to happen there?
Quarterback, I actually give it to Hurts because Hurts, even though Pittsburgh is kind of a tough matchup, I know Hurts is still going to get his points. Running the ball, throwing it, he's going to probably get a tush-push touchdown in there. So I'm going to give it to Hurts. Wide receivers is damn close. So are the running backs. Honestly, I think I'm going to give it to Mitch more because of the back end of the lineups. I like Bowers and Dowdle more than Freiermuth and Charbonnet. I know Charbonnet had a good game recently. Packers actually do have a pretty good run defense. Man, Mitch, as dirty as this is, I'm picking you.
Well, I mean, you don't want Cameron to win, right?
I don't care who wins, honestly. If it resets the league, it resets the league, whatever. But I think it's gonna be close. I'll give Mitch the slight edge though.
Cameron?
Oh boy, you want me to go? I mean, look, on paper, you're a 20-point favorite. That doesn't mean that I can't win. Like we talked about, this game going on right now, looks like it's raining a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Cup and Puka are not doing anything yet, and I think that hurts you a lot more than it hurts me. I think Puka's upside is a lot higher than Cup's, and if Puka's going to do bad, whatever Cup can do bad. He's not the best player on my team. Let me say that. Obviously, I want him to do good, but I think if I'm gonna win, I'll try to make a case for me to win. I need Jalen Hurts to have about 12 points. So that can come either with Saquon being awesome or Pittsburgh being awesome. It's hard saying that Hurts is going to do that, though, because like Andrew said, if they get on the one, Hurts is going to score a touchdown. And if the Cardinals get on the one, Kyler's probably not scoring a touchdown. So that's a big swing. And on top of that, I need Hurts scoring that many points, and then I need either I'll say Adams or Bowers to score like 6. If both of them get a touchdown, I'm not winning. Um, I need one of them to just be okay. So if that happens, I think I got a shot. I need Kenneth Walker not to play because I do not want to start my first round pick Marvin Harrison, but I will if I have to. But if Ken Walker doesn't play, Charbonnet just scored 40 points. I know he's not going to score 40, but he's going to get everything, even against a good defense. He'll have receptions, good chance at a touchdown. So I feel okay about that. I'll say this too. I looked at the last month, the last 4 weeks. If you and I played each other every week, Mitch, we'd be 2-2. So take that for what it's worth. I think I got a shot, but again, I'm a 20-point underdog at this point. It's I guess I'll say I'm playing with house money. If I win, hoorah! I took down a juggernaut. If I lose, well, that was pretty much expected.
So your team definitely has a shot. I'm going to give my unbiased opinion first before I just put you in your place.
Please do.
I'll dominate. No, your team definitely has a shot. I mean, your team's 7-7. Playing Marvin Harrison, that's still scary to do. With that being a flex, because he can have a big game, especially against New England. I could see that happening. This matchup going on right now with the Rams game and then the Detroit game are two big games for you and I, because sometimes that teeters quite a bit one way or the other. The Rams games more it generally tips towards Puka more than Cup. Cup has had way bigger games than Puka, but not as much. And then the Detroit games maybe just a hair more to Gibbs, but man, I that's not something I'd bet ice cream on as to who's going to have the bigger day, because they legit split, and what they're doing in Detroit with running backs is crazy. Whenever I drafted Montgomery in like the 4th or 5th round, I never would have guessed this kind of productivity. Uh, I was fine with my running backs, but I have one of the better running back cores in the league. A lot of credit, big credit to Mixon, because nobody saw that, not at that level. Um, I think Andrew said it pretty well. The back end of my team, I got Bowers. My kicker is one of the better ones in the league. I know Andrew loves kickers. And I think I got a very favorable matchup with Denver against Indy. Denver, they've scored a handful of defensive touchdowns this year, and I could see that being a low scoring game. They have scored me, I felt like they've scored me 20 points or more a few times this year. So I could see it coming down to some of those positions. Um, Jalen Hurts, so looking at it, so Pittsburgh has given up the fewest amount of points to quarterbacks this year, I think, in terms of like
I think
fantasy
that's right.
wise. I know I have Herbert on my bench and playing against the team that's given up the most fantasy points. And I have McConkey sitting on my bench too. That I still might decide to play because he has a very favorable matchup, but I think I got to play Dowdle against Carolina. So, and he's been doing really, really good. So
It's not a bad choice.
I like my team. I think my team is going to win this week. It should win this week. But Cameron's definitely in the mix. I think what you've done with your team is great. What you pulled off this year. But I think I will end your run this week. That was my unbiased opinion. Now for my biased opinion, You have zero chance. I have a job to do, and that's to make sure league does not reset. I'm going to destroy you this week. I'll probably have to go against Mike next week unless Andrew does win. I did pick Andrew. So it's possible I'm playing Clark next week if I win. Clark, nothing against you. I got to beat you. I got a job to do. I'm going to then go and beat Andrew or Mike. I hope it's Andrew because I want my revenge. And I want that to be a slaughterhouse. I want you to score a 40 burger and I beat you by over 100.
I
Utter
love when Mitch
destruction.
starts spouting nonsense like this. I love it because then when it comes back and bites him in the ass, it makes it so much better.
Dude, I don't care.
Well,
You kidding me?
I'll get in the cart a little before the horse there, my friend, talking about 2 weeks from now. But that's fine. That's
Dude,
fine.
here's the thing. The reason I'm playing the villain card because if one of you three win this year, we will have league reset. And over the years, we've talked about some things that we want to change with the league, and there's some things I'm excited for to change. And honestly, playing the villain card right now, why not? If I lose, it's like, well, Mitch, you ran your mouth. Yeah, I don't care. I'm gonna do it again. It's Andrew and
Oh,
Mike
we know you will.
and Cameron. Well, yeah, why not? Like, okay, let's be real. So nobody in league wants you three to win. Then the next person that they don't want to see win would be me. Nobody ever wants to see me win either. I
That's
can't
probably
I can't
accurate.
reset the league. I think most people in the league they would love to see either Clark or Drew win it. And if one of them win it, that's all fine. All dandy dandy in my book. But if league resets and people want to blame me because I went into my villain arc and got cocky, pushy, whatever, then so be it. I'll make it entertaining at least.
All I know
But
is if I win this week and then I play Mike and I beat Mike next week, Mike, you get 2 kisses.
so if
Good thing I play more money.
well, I mean, you for sure, like Andrew, if you win, you are playing Mike regardless.
Yeah, I know.
So that would be hilarious if you beat Mike, though. I would be it would be hysterical, and I'd be so mad at the same time too.
It would just if I do end up pulling off a win this week, that's gonna be I'll be quite the hype matchup next week.
Just
It would be a
when
great story. Like I got you into the playoffs, and then you knocked me out of the playoffs, and yeah, that would be one to talk about.
But you won your $20.
I did win $20.
Hey, also because of that crazy play, I won DraftKings this past week too.
That is true.
Andrew's
That
tired
is
of me
true.
winning that.
I've only won. I think I've won twice. I have not been doing good at it.
I felt like I've won like 8 times this year.
Yeah, I've got 2.
So
Pretty sure I've won.
all right. Well, that is it for the matchups. We got a few other things we're going to talk about tonight. Let me change my view here. So I'm in the moment. Modifications. Okay, we're cooking now. So my next topic. Sorry, I want to bring this up real quick. If we had league reset, because there's a chance. What is the one thing? If you each could pick one thing, can't pick the same thing. If you could pick one thing that you would like to see changed outside of kickers, what would it be? It don't matter who goes first. You might want to go
If
first if somebody doesn't
you
think
guys
your
got
idea
something,
first.
go ahead, pop it out there.
I'll start. So I'll caution first by saying I think we all think the league is very fun. It's the best league I'm in. I'm in 5 leagues this year, which is too many. But yeah. But we've been doing this almost 20 years, fine tuning the settings, changing with what we think the times call for. I like our settings. So I don't want to change things just for the sake of changing things. But something that I've kind of advocated for the last couple years is having 2 IR spots. I know the argument against that is always, well, that means there's less people on the waiver wire and it's even harder to find guys to fill in spots. And I'll push back a little bit on that because when you have 2 IR spots, chances are, guys that go on IR, say like a Christian McCaffrey, that's a bad example, but someone who's not out for the whole year,
Like
a
a
lot of times,
Nico's out
yeah,
4 weeks.
yeah. So a lot of these guys do get cut, maybe not at Nico level because he's a very high level player, but kind of those mid-level players that are going to be out for weeks. You'll cut those players now because you maybe have someone else in that IR spot or you just can't hold them. Those players don't generally get picked up anyway. So by cutting that player and picking up a player, if the player that got cut doesn't get picked up, it's kind of a wash anyway. I think it allows more flexibility for individuals to take their team in their own hands, and doesn't force people to have to cut players that they don't necessarily want to cut. And I don't feel like there's a lot of adverse consequences to doing that. I'll say one of the leagues that I'm in, it's for my work. They wanted me to be the commissioner. I set it up as close to this league as I could because I like the settings. Except we did have 2 IR spots. And I can just tell you from my experience, it did not feel like there was less players to pick up.
Was it a 12-man league?
It was 10, but keeping that in context, I'm trying to, assume what a 10-team league feels like and what those players on the waiver wire feel like.
Okay.
Not comparing it directly to a 12-team, but yeah, that would be my suggestion. It's a small suggestion, but that's what I would say.
Okay.
My only thing I can think of that I'm kind of for or don't, it doesn't really matter, is I kind of like when defenses have a little more to them than the way we have it. You could do defense and special teams, which is like what DraftKings does. It's combined. So punt returns, kick returns, those kind of things actually count for something. They don't happen a lot anyway, but it's something that they go together. Another thing is defenses, and one of the leagues, other ones I'm in, is you also get a point for like forced fumbles, not just picking up the fumble. So if you get a quarterback sack and he fumbles it, you'll get 3 points.
So even if you force fumble but they recover, you'd still get a point.
Yeah, you still get a point for forcing the fumble. Because there's a lot of times where defense makes a good hit, there's a fumble, but they don't recover it.
Sure.
In that league, you still get a point for a forced fumble. And then there's I've been in one other league where they also defenses they did where you'd get certain points for like total yards allowed. Just kind of another caveat you can throw in there to kind of gives you a little more like, ooh, what defense do I really want? Kind of because you can get a few more points depending how good they do and how much how many rushing yards they allow, passing yards allowed. I mean, you can do all kinds of things with it, but I would just say tweaking defenses a little bit would be the only suggestion I have, and it's not like a real big one either way. But
yeah, I'll say this is just me personally. I don't, this will all be decided for the group. I'm not a huge fan of total yards. I do like the fumble being 1 point and the recovery being another point. I do like that. I think that makes sense. And the other thing that I've seen, just to piggyback on what you said, is stopping teams on 4th down, counting that as a turnover.
Oh, that's true.
Here's what I'll say, just my personal opinion about it. I like simplicity when it comes to defensive scoring. I want to keep it very in a box. So you get a sack, you get a point, as opposed to you allowed 150 yards. And the reason I don't like that so much is how many points do you give for that stuff?
Oh, no, I agree.
And you don't necessarily want the defense. You don't want them playing a huge part of your team output. You don't. I mean, defenses definitely do play a part on our fantasy teams, and they can swing a matchup. But kind of like kickers, I personally don't like putting a ton of weight on a defense, but that's just me.
No, I don't. I honestly don't either. That's why I'm kind of for or against. But I do like the big thing that I do like the forced fumble and the even the fourth down thing. But the yards thing, I'm not real big on it. I've just been in a league that does do that.
Sure.
Mike?
Well, I do kind of like when leagues have the medium scoring, so that teams can score 60 points and or score 160 points, get beaten by somebody with 170, and still get half a win essentially that week. And I've liked the leagues that I've been in that have that scoring. That'd be a big change for our league, admittedly. So I don't know if everybody's on board with that, but it's just something that I would bring up.
Okay. I know that would be an interesting one for the Keeper League. I think it's worked really well for the Dynasty League. I love it for that league. So I had a couple in my mind, and I didn't know if any of you guys were going to say anything along those lines, so I'll go ahead and, I guess, throw them out. I know the big one for me, it's kind of a two, we'll call it a wombo combo thing. I want to move away from Yahoo and switch the league over to Sleeper. So that way both of these are in, or the Dynasty League and this one's in one location. I like Sleeper. It's grown on me more and more over the years. I like the layout more. The big catch, the one reason why I didn't propose it this year, because any change in between, like each year, it has to be unanimous vote, and I wouldn't even vote yes. We can't do the same kind of bonus. We could do bonus points, but the breakdown would be a little bit different. And that is one of the special things about this league is how we do the bonus points. And I've done some math. There's ways to do it. It's not quite the same yet. Part of me is hoping that Sleeper will add a few more other features where I can do exactly what I want. It's like, oh, perfect. No harm, no foul. But that is one of the things that I would be presenting to the league, but it would be a two-step thing. It's like, hey, I want to switch to Sleeper, and then this is what we would have to do with bonus points in the event that we did do it. The other thing, you guys have heard me mention this before too, 3 keepers and not 2. I know 2 keepers, it's done well. I think whenever we moved over to this league from a regular redraft league to keeper, I remember whenever I made the change, everybody wanted 1. Well, I presented 3. Vast majority of people wanted 1. I'm like, nah, we're not doing 1. If we're gonna do this, we're gonna do at least 2. We're gonna meet halfway. And that has worked really well. I would like to go to 3, or at least review the keeper structure a little bit. See if there's anything that we want to revamp and change with that at league reset. Maybe we let teams keep players longer. Maybe we allow a third. I don't know. That's something that I would want to bring in discussion because we're more comfortable with keepers now. I do think how we're doing keepers is pretty balanced. I do think with league reset, that keeps a team from getting too stacked for too long. If you do really good at keepers, yeah, you might go bam, bam, and then it's over. Then everybody starts all over again. So those are just some big ones that have hit my mind. Kickers, I mean, part of me is like, well, if we get rid of kickers, let's get rid of defenses too.
I think defense is more integral.
I would agree. Yeah, defense
listen,
is.
Listen. I've had a good kicker this year.
The best one.
My kicker's been awesome this year, and I still don't want kickers.
Yeah, and I'll say, Mitch, a lot of the conversation I feel like I hear when you all talk about kickers is the argument is posed that their scoring is random. That's not the argument. The argument is they're not guaranteed to be on the field. That's the argument. Defenses are guaranteed to be on the field. Running backs, so long as you're not starting a nobody, are guaranteed to be on the field. Kickers are the only position.
Yeah.
Right. Kickers are the only position that there's no guarantee, regardless of how good they are talent-wise. They're not guaranteed to get on the field. So that's the argument. Yeah.
It's situational. It's sporadic. I mean, you just don't.
Right.
So
it can come down to game script at the ends of games, and yeah.
You don't want a game to really be decided by a kicker that scored 30 points that week.
Right.
I mean, it's funny.
But definitely,
sometimes, but
I've thought about what if we just nerf kickers and every field goal is worth 3 points. The problem is then I guess the problem is then you almost eliminate the skill part of it
Then you
even
still,
more.
yep, exactly.
It's even more just
So the only
based on
way
the game
that you
script.
incorporate their skill is by the distance. So yeah.
we should do kickers. All field goals worth 1, no matter the distance, and if they miss, it's -10.
Get out of here.
Yeah, there we go.
I'll leave the league.
There'll be some teams that like leave the kicker spot like blank. Then, like,
Yeah,
Oh,
if I
that's
didn't
a
have
fair
to do
point.
it, I just leave it blank.
nobody would ever put a kicker in.
Mhm. Oh my gosh.
Can't force me to play.
All right. Super Bowl predictions. You guys have heard mine. If I had to update it, I'm gonna say Eagles and Chiefs. I don't want it to be Chiefs there. I'd rather see the Bills there. If Eagles don't make it, I mean, it's kind of tough. Like it's hard to root against Detroit. Unless, like me, I'm an Eagles fan. I'm rooting for Eagles, obviously. But if there's any other team that I want to see come out of the NFC and win it, it's Detroit all the way. But my prediction is Eagles and Chiefs, and Eagles are going to win. Sticking to it. My Eagles Bengals pick isn't going to happen.
No. Bengals have a 3% chance still. 3%.
Hey, dude, if it happens, awesome.
It ain't over
1-0.
yet. Should win this week, but you know how that goes.
They should have won a lot of weeks.
Oh, I know.
Mike, who's going to Super Bowl?
Chiefs and Lions, and the Chiefs, their black magic will continue. They'll win by a single point. It might be in overtime, but they will win. They will win by a single point.
Let me find the kick button. Get Mike out of here. Okay.
They'll get a call or
It's
something
the easy
at the
pick.
game.
Andrew?
NFC side, I feel like is Lions. Obviously, I want to pick the Packers, but we're already 0-2 against the Lions this year. This last one, Jordan Love was healthy. It was close. We only lost by a field goal or whatever, but they've already beat us twice, so I can't really pick the Packers. I don't think as much as I want to. And I don't think in the NFC there's anybody else that is going to beat them. I mean, I guess Minnesota's 11-2. They're not an 11-2 team, in my opinion.
If Detroit gets home field advantage, which right now they have it, if they have home field advantage in the playoffs, they're going to Super Bowl. Eagles aren't going to go to Detroit and win. If Detroit has to go to Philly in cold weather, Eagles could win that. But
Yeah.
Detroit's the best team in the league. And if it's going through Detroit, they're going to Super Bowl.
Philly has a chance, but I mean, man, I don't really trust Philly either. I mean, look what they did against Carolina last week. That was ugly. So yeah, I'm definitely picking Detroit. I think that's the clearest one. AFC is tough. I mean, the Chiefs have only lost one game, but they're the ugliest 12-1 team I've ever seen. Like, I don't know if it's luck, voodoo magic. You know how much I hate the Chiefs. Sorry, they're not good, but somehow they win. I don't know. Obviously, they're not awful. They're not a bad team.
I mean,
but
you don't get 12-1 by accident.
No, I mean, same. They're 12-1. Obviously, they're not a terrible team, but they're not great. They really aren't. And I just don't see how they could make it to the Super Bowl if they continue to do what they're doing. And I said that last year, too. And then they got to the playoffs and they were like, hey, we know how to play football, which could happen again.
Yeah, that's probably what's going to happen.
Currently, I don't think the Chiefs can do it. This is going to be a random one. I think it's going to be Detroit and Pittsburgh.
Pittsburgh plays to the level of their opponent. Doesn't matter if they're good or bad. And I think Pittsburgh's a team that can beat Kansas City.
And they're pretty good at pulling them out. I don't know, man. Mike Tomlin, man, that guy, he's a good coach.
He is. And it's the resurgence of Russell Wilson, too.
And I want to pick Buffalo, but we keep seeing what Buffalo does in the playoffs. So I honestly have the most faith in Pittsburgh, I think, making it. In Baltimore, I don't trust Baltimore either. So
No, that's the Cowboys of the AFC. They'll ribcage it.
So, yep, Detroit and Pittsburgh.
What you think, Cam?
Well, for the sake of entertainment, I'd like to see the Bills and the Lions because I think we'll see it this weekend. So we'll see if it's going to be good, I guess, but should be awesome, right? Hard to pick against the Lions. I'm going to do it though, I guess, because the one thing I know is the second we know what's going on in the NFL, we don't know what the hell's going on. So everybody knows the Lions are the best team. They're going to lose. And I honestly, they've scored a lot of points. I get it. But there's been a couple games here lately that they've looked beatable. And maybe the score doesn't reflect that.
Bears should have beat them.
Yeah. Yeah. So, and they can get in their own way too. I mean, it's all fun and games when you're picking up fourth downs at a 90% clip, but one game you do it at a 40% clip, you might lose. So
they've done the playoffs before.
Yeah. So now I have to think about what team could beat Detroit. I think it probably would be a division mate, so I would say the Vikings. So the Vikings, and then I do think the AFC is hard too. I don't have a lot of faith in Baltimore, and I do think, oddly enough, the hardest team for Baltimore to beat probably is Pittsburgh. I think they can beat Baltimore. I really do. I know their secondary sucks, and Josh Allen is amazing, but Derrick Henry against that Baltimore defense, I think, can do it by himself. I really do. So I'm going to say Baltimore, the two purple teams, Baltimore and the Vikings. And Lamar gets his first. How about that?
Purple Nurples.
I think as a fan of the NFL, most fans, I think a lot of them would love to see Buffalo and Lions in the Super Bowl. That would be a fun one to watch. And then I'd have to pick one because I'd love to see Josh Allen get one too. I don't know who I'd want to see win. If it came down to the
Lions, I'd pick the Lions.
If it's not the Chiefs, it's the Lions.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I'm a Packers fan. So I'd totally be fine with the Lions.
So, Cameron, you mentioned Vikings. What would the Vikings do if they won with Darnold? Would they let him go?
Darnold.
Darnold will get a contract somewhere else.
They're not going to pay him.
Yeah, he'll get paid somewhere else.
If they win a Super Bowl with Darnold, you don't think that they'll pay him? He played the whole year.
He's going to want too much money.
Well, they could afford to pay it. They didn't pay that rookie a lot of money yet.
I guess I'm looking at it from the Vikings standpoint. Do I want Sam Darnold as my quarterback for the future? And the answer is no, not long term. He's overperformed this year. He's had certainly big games, but he's also had not very good games. So
he's had some rough games.
if I'm building that franchise, why do I want to give Sam Darnold a 5-year contract? I don't personally.
What if you could give him a 3-year? All guaranteed. They did it with Kirk Cousins. Would you do that?
It's all on winning a Super Bowl.
It's hard.
I mean, it is. I don't think the Vikings will do it, but I do think Sam Darnold.
If I'm saying.
Oh yeah, if you're Sam Darnold.
If I'm the Vikings, I give him. Yeah. If I'm the Vikings, I give him a 1-year deal, and if I'm Sam Darnold, I laugh at it and I say, no, I don't want a 1-year deal. I already proved it 1 year.
There are plenty of other teams that are hungry for a quarterback that'll pay Sam Darnold more.
As far as I know, the Vikings have never won a Super Bowl, I think.
Mm-mm.
So
I don't know if they've ever been to a Super Bowl.
They somehow win a Super Bowl for their first time ever, and I mean, it's going to be hard for them to not try and keep Sam Darnold, I think, because he would kind of be the savior of the team.
He would be the legend. He would be the legend.
Yeah, But so it'd be hard for them
Legend
to
of
like
Sam Darnold.
finally do it and then like be like, all right, see you later.
I look at
But if it's like that
Philadelphia.
for a huge
Someone-
contract, I totally would understand it.
I
But
would too.
I could see them
Right.
not doing it.
Money is
I'm-
going to talk.
Nick Foles winning the Super Bowl with Philadelphia ruined Carson Wentz. I don't care what anybody says. It ruined Carson Wentz. I'm not upset. I mean, that is one of the
Oh, man.
most legendary Super Bowls we've ever seen. That was just wild. But yeah, that ruined Carson Wentz.
And then what did Nick Foles do after that? Nothing.
He played on so many teams and he did nothing for none of them. He was only a legend in Philly, which made it great.
Yeah.
So, all right.
You can say that. You can say that Super Bowl ruined him too.
So I mean, there's a prime example of winning a Super Bowl. I mean, ain't everything to keep a guy like that. So
Right.
All right. I think that was the last topic I had. Is there anything else you guys want to talk about on this podcast?
good luck to you, fellas. Hopefully,
Thanks, man.
hopefully I see you next week, Mike, in the playoffs.
I'll
And
be there. I'm waiting.
hopefully Mitch loses, or I kick his ass in the championship.
So you hope to play me in the championship.
Mitch, if I make it to the championship, I hope you're the guy.
All right. I'll take it. So, all right. Well, guys, thanks for being on. I hope you all ribcage in the playoffs. But outside of that, I love you all. We might going on next week. Andrew, Mike, who knows? Maybe I'll bring you back on next week if you two are
All
playing.
right. We'll see.
Cameron, if I lose,
I'll
then I
quiver
might just
over
have
here.
you.
Cameron, no, if Mitch loses, Cameron, you're actually going to be the host.
Yeah, that's what I was getting ready to say.
Oh, man.
You could come over,
You'll
do
take
the
over. You
introduction,
claim ownership
and
of the
then
podcast.
I'll go over to your house. I'll wear your hoodie, put on your glasses.
There you go.
There you go. Yeah.
Yeah, we don't pay out first place anymore. If you win the league, you're just the host of the podcast for the next year.
Yeah, that's
How
what
about
it
that?
is.
Yeah.
Josie
Well-
would not like that if I were to win and I became host of the podcast.
You'd be recording so late so many nights. Like this year's been great
it'd
because
be
we've
late.
been Ben and I most nights been recording like right at 7:15, done by 8:15, 8:30. Then it's uploaded and available on
Not
Discord by
tonight.
9. No, not tonight, but that's okay. I'm still happy we started whenever we did because all day I was like, we're not gonna be able to start till 9 or 9:30.
Right.
But no, it's
It's
great.
worked out.
It really did. So, but sorry, we went on a tangent. Good luck this week, everybody. As always, if you guys like what you see, like, comment, and subscribe. And we'll
Bye.
see you all next week. Peace.